Good morning, YouTube, or if it's night where you are, then good evening or good night, as the case may be. Now, this video is has been teased to you with that sample of my absolutely pristine and beautiful handwriting on Instagram, has it not? And well, it's here. It's Sunday, and I'm going to be talking about. Wait for it. Movie adaptations of books that are in my library. So, what you saw on that image was basically a list of 20 books that I just jotted down randomly to speak about, and I then shortlisted that to about 11, and I will be talking about these 11 books and their adaptations and how I feel about the um, movie adaptations. And obviously, I'm going to be answering the $1,000,000 question. What is the $1,000,000 question? Does the book or is the book better than the movie? Debunking the myth. That's what this video is going to be about. Because there's a lot of people out there who seem to think that by default, the movie adaptation or the TV series adaptation of a book falls short of the actual book. And I am a firm believer in that statement. Because you see, when I'm reading a book, all right, it's my imagination that's getting triggered. All right. So I'll give you something really silly. Uh, to Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, um, it I always pictured Atticus Finch as somebody who would be wearing horn rimmed glasses. And when I saw Gregory Peck in that role, for some reason, the fact that he wore similar kind of glasses really worked for me. And this is Gregory Peck I'm talking about. So, like, I don't have to tell you the quality of acting involved. So, that is actually one of the books on my list. Um, do give it a look. Gregory Peck's Atticus Finch is one of the few true to earth adaptations of uh, books, and he has breathed new life into the character. Okay, so that's one, and I will be talking about. I will, like I said, I will be talking about 11 books here. Some of them are over here off camera right now, but they will be on camera. I will be showing you a few of the books that I'm talking about, which are with me right now. So without further ado, let us descend. Okay, so first off, I want to talk about the grand old man of comic books, Alan Moore. Uh, V for Vendetta was this movie that released when I was in school. My friend Shagnik Shen was absolutely obsessed with it. Okay, he kept on. He was particularly obsessed with the picturization of that quotation that V tells Mr. Creedy. Beneath this mask, Mr. Creedy, is not a face. Beneath this mask is an idea, and ideas are bulletproof. So try to understand. I think we were in like eighth or ninth standard, ninth grade for those listening in from other places in the world, and a quotation like that comes and hits you, right? I'm so sorry I got distracted. A quotation like that comes and hits you in the face, right? It's kind of a stimulant, okay? And I started to watch the movie, and I got up to the point. I got up to a certain point. I got up to a certain point. If I tell you the point, it's going to be a massive spoiler, so I'm not gonna. And then suddenly, like I found out that there's actually a book, and it's based on a book, and I immediately hit the pause button, like immediately, and I was like, um, dude, pause button, time to read the book. And so I kept it on hibernation for quite some time. Kept it on hibernation for quite some time. and then I decided to get hold of a copy of the book. So quite some time passed, and then I managed to read the book. I got hold of an ebook from a friend of mine, and I read the book. And the art, the way that Shakespeare is quoted right at the beginning, the art in the book, the part where V is lifting Evie down and it's sketched in pink, the beauty of that is what appealed to me more than the actual core story. While the core story is absolutely brilliant. And on top of that, I want to talk about the other book in the series, which is also by Alan Moore, Watchmen. Watchmen is a brilliant graphic novel, but the problem with Watchmen, in my humble opinion, is that adapting it is really difficult. Adapting it is not easy. Although Kovacs, or Rorschach as he's known, the actor who played Rorschach, he really did a brilliant job with it. The actor who played um, Dr. Manhattan did a good job with it. It stayed true to the core material, but there are so many layers in Watchmen, so many different ways the art is shown, so many different shades used, so many different colors used, the way the picture is sketched, so many things to think about in Watchmen. And yeah, so that takes care of the two Alan Moores on my list. The next one I'm going to talk about is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I watched the movie first, then found out there was a book. So, I read the book. Case in point, the movie is far, 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 far better than the book. This is one of those rare exceptions. The book is, in fact, hot garbage compared to the movie. If you haven't seen the movie and you read the book, it's a different thing. But I went in reverse. I saw the movie with Jack Nicholson starring and with Milos Forman behind the directorship, and I was blown away. It's simply staggeringly brilliant. So, in this rare case, movie outweighs book. This does not always happen, but it has happened in this case. Moving on, two movies by the Indian author's books, based on the Indian author's books, The Namesake, and another book that I read after reading The Namesake, The Lowland. They're both by Jhumpa Lahiri. The Namesake was adapted into a movie. I had read the book, found it somewhat interesting. It tells the story of how a man who has been named Gogol kind of sort of hates his name, actually goes through the difficulties of actually goes through the procedures of changing his name to Nikhil before understanding in totality why he was named Gogol. So it's coming of age, or should I say it's coming of name, and it's a decent read. The movie falls short. The movie falls short. Seriously falls short. The kind of word pictures that are painted in the kind of word pictures that are painted in the book um, are sort of difficult to visualize, at least for me. So this is a normal deviation. Um, there's that. Okay, so the other book I was talking about, The Lowland, also by Jhumpa Lahiri. I read it while I was in a hospital, and actually it was in the ward. So like I needed reading material. I picked it up, and I was reading it, and it's an interesting look. It's an interesting look at the Naxalite movement in India, although that is not the core of the plot. But the Naxalite movement is involved. It's an interesting book to read. It's about a family of people. You could give it a look. Decentish read. I won't diss it. I will diss a couple of the books on this list though. You can be sure of that. The next one is an absolute favorite of mine. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. So whenever I want to get someone into reading, especially if it's a kid, I always go with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. What a charming story. What a charming concept. Really. I mean, if you look past the rags to riches background of it and just explore the wonder of Willy Wonka's factory. Like so many different kinds of chocolate and the life lesson you learn from the story, not to be greedy, not to be egotistical, not to think that you're over smart. So such a humbling experience reading the book. And it's by Roald Dahl, so like, need I say more? And then Johnny Depp plays Willy Wonka in the movie adaptation, which is directed by Tim Burton. End of discussion. Go watch this. Both the movie and the book absolutely, totally, unequivocally rock. You need to watch this movie. You need to read this book. Okay. So this is a long list. I'm kind of rushing through this, but if you enjoy this video, if you enjoy what I'm talking about, then let me know which books you want to know more about. Connect with me on my social media. I will be glad to talk about all this. Which brings me to my next entry. Um, and I actually have this book here. So let me show it to you. Let me show you the condition of the book. So this was purchased second hand from a footpath at an area called Gold Park, and it has been so well read, that it is actually in this condition, with electrical tape holding it together. Mario Puzo's The Godfather. Where do I start with this book? Alright, where do I start with this book? Where do I start with this movie? This one time, and let you ask me about my business, is how Al Pacino ends the movie. And the movie begins with Marlon Brando telling Bonacera, "You never asked me for my friendship. You never called me Godfather. Bonacera, what have I done to make you disrespect me in this way?" Right? You can feel that, right? And to be honest, um, the book. So what happened with this was that I read the book when I was a teenager. I read the book, and The Godfather is really special to me because my mom gifted me all the three movies as DVDs. For those Gen Z people who might not know what DVDs are, they are like bigger than CDs but smaller than hard disks. And like where I come from, those circular things were really charming, right? You This is not Blu-ray or anything. This is lower quality than Blu-ray. There's no 720p shit going on here. This was way before 720p. We had DVD players that used to hook up to TVs, and we used to spend hours watching movies on DVDs. So this is like early to mid 2000s, before the technology to develop HD came up, and then suddenly we started remastering everything, all the movies in 720p and then in 1080p. But I am from that generation that has actually seen 360p, 480p, then come to 720p and moved on from there. Right now we are, I think, exploring the possibilities of 8K. So, technology is brilliant. I mean, I feel humbled by the very existence of technology. But I digress. So, Godfather 3 box set DVD, alright? God, I sound so much like an early 2000s kid right now. So, Godfather box set DVD with a handwritten note in it. Just a very short note. To my son, because you wanted this so much. And I open it up and I put in the first disc. Yeah, I said first disc. So there were 3 discs for the first movie. You have to swap out the discs to watch it. So there I am. Insert the first disc. Speak Softly Love starts playing. You know. that starts playing, the puppet logo comes up, and like the Godfather shows up, and I am freaking mesmerized. I watched that 3 hour movie with it somewhat. I was not above 18 at the time, so there were some pretty disturbing scenes in it. Um, I did not like that they sort of made Johnny Fontaine too much of a side character in the movie, but yeah, um, it was a very, very, very good watch. So then I read the book again and I watched the movie again, and then I watched the entire trilogy, and I was really disappointed. Really, really, really disappointed with um, the third part. But I have come to be informed that there is a new edit of the third part out called The Godfather 3 Coda, which I will be checking out shortly, and perhaps I'll be doing another video just on The Godfather. Thank you, Jeffrey Jacob of my book club, for pointing out that it exists. And okay, I'm really sorry about this. I mean, you know. Okay, uh, the next one is not. The next one is one of the most beautiful books I've ever read. Yeah, I'll just focus this again because like the light is falling on the name of the. Yeah, I think you can see it now. So these two, this happened, dudes. This happened. These two teamed up, and this book is a riot. And it was adapted into a TV series starring Michael Sheen as Azrael and David Tennant as Crowley, whatever. I'm not going to debate this. Um, and oh my god, it was so brilliant. And I have read the book 5 times. I have seen the series thrice, and I am so stoked that they're making a season 2 very soon. And I absolutely loved it when Gaiman shared a picture of Terry Pratchett's hat and scarf, which he kept on the set on the first day of shooting. Check out his Instagram, it's definitely there. I will link it below. He is Neil himself on Instagram, in case you were wondering. So it was so touching to see that picture, and I sort of squealed. But yeah, solid recommend on this book. I'll just, for those of you who are not familiar with the writing, I'll just read a little bit of the blurb. Armageddon only happens once. They don't let you go around again until you get it right. So that's like the first line of the blurb. So yeah, do check it out. Do check it out. You won't be disappointed because these two are the behemoths of fantasy right now. Okay, I mean, although Terry Pratchett has left us, he has left this world, he has passed away, and it is a tremendous loss. And I hope that Gaiman will be bringing out new content soon. And oh yeah, before I move on, Gaiman's Sandman graphic novel series is going to be adapted into a Netflix series, and I can't wait. I just can't wait. Leaving aside all the controversy about the casting and the people of color issues that some racists have brought up, and the fact that Desire is being played by a non-binary person that some homophobic people have brought up, I just am so excited to be able to see Sandman on the screen, you know, because I don't give a damn who plays what. I just don't. I don't care. I am not racist. I am not homophobic. I just believe one thing. If you behave well with me, I will behave well with you. Period. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter who you are. Whether you're the richest person on the planet or whether you're somebody just trying to make ends meet by begging on the street. If you're civil to me, I'll be civil to you. And I think that is what we all need to understand. I think that is what we all need to understand. I think a lot of the world's problems will just disappear if we get this one simple thing into our stupid heads. Anyway, this is about books, not politics. So let's get back on track. Oh yeah, I absolutely love this one. So yeah, this book will break your heart, All right. I'm just gonna focus it again on the camera because Eric Segal's love story. So this book, this book is one of those cases where it's going, and suddenly it's not. Suddenly it's over. It's finished. The story's gone. Finished. Finito. And you're like, oh my god. And I was a kid. I was a kid when I read it. I think, I'm trying to remember. I was about 15 and I howled. So I did not cry. I don't know how many people will hate me for this, but I did not cry at the ending of Grave of the Fireflies, but I howled like a maniac when I read this book. And I'll just read out the first line of this book. What can you say about a 25-year-old girl who died? That she was beautiful and brilliant? That she loved Mozart and Bach and the Beatles and me? That's like literally the first line of text in this edition of the book. And the movie has got a score by Francis Lai called Where Do I Begin? If I can find that instrumental on YouTube, it will be linked below in the description of the video. Um, do definitely check out the movie. It's got a very good cast and it stays absolutely true to the book. They haven't left a single full stop out. Okay. So in this case, book totally on par with the movie. Totally. No doubts about it. Absolutely nothing separates them. And of course, the beauty of this book is that when it comes to the very end, very end, you realize that what you thought was the love story was not the love story at all. It was a totally different love story. I won't say anymore. Read. Please read. You will not regret it. Moving on. Yeah, so I've got some different books here. I do have a copy of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, but it's with a friend of mine, Rishabh Paul, who's really enjoying it. But I chose this book because I saw Dracula as well, which stars Gary Oldman as Dracula. And while my comment about Dracula is that I went in, perhaps I made a mistake, but I went in with a lot of expectations from Dracula, and those expectations kind of killed the read for me. But Dracula is a good way to get into reading. Dracula is a good way to introduce yourself to horror fiction. So I will endorse it. I personally, this is strictly personal. I found the movie better than the book because it had Keanu Reeves as Harker. It was directed by Francis Ford Coppola. And oh my god, Gary Oldman as Dracula. Holy shit. And Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. That's the second book on this list. It's a double feature over here. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, again because it's Gary Oldman and because he's playing George Smiley, he breathes new life into the book. So for those of you that don't know, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is a novel series by John Le Carre. It has been adapted into two things. It has been adapted into a movie starring Gary Oldman. But before that, it has been adapted into a BBC TV series starring Alec Guinness. And a follow-up to that TV series is basically Smiley's People, which also stars Alec Guinness as Smiley, George Smiley. And this is the BBC I'm talking about. So I enjoyed the TV series a lot. But then when I saw Gary Oldman as George Smiley, backed up by Benedict Cumberbatch and Colin Firth, somehow, the movie really spoke to me. Is the book better? Yes. Is the movie worth a watch? Definitely. You should. If for nothing else, for Gary Oldman. Now we've got Shaky Baby. So yeah, I kind of joke around about this, but like William Shakespeare, I call him Shaky Baby. Yeah, it's just an idiosyncrasy of mine. I mean no disrespect to William Shakespeare. I actually respect his work. In fact, you can see my Shakespeare collection over my shoulder. Those books over there in that open bookcase, those are my mom's books. Those are the complete Shakespeare. So I have to talk about Merchant of Venice. This is a oh man, the light is falling on it. Yeah, so this is a Verity edition of Merchant of Venice. A really good way to when you're in college and you need to understand references really fast. I'll just show you the inside of this. Um, damn it. Where are the notes? Yeah, I can't find the notes, but like Verity editions are a good way to get into Shakespeare because they really help because they have a voluminous note section. They have annotations, I believe is the technical term. Annotations are there in the book as well as that. Yeah, it's AW Verity, Verity. They are cheap and they're a good way to study Shakespeare. But the Merchant of Venice adaptation into a movie, Jeremy Irons, yeah, we all know Jeremy Irons, right? I've known Jeremy Irons since I was a young warthog. He was Scar. And then I came across Jeremy Irons later in this movie. But not just Jeremy Irons. What stole the show for me was Al Pacino as Shylock, especially when he delivers those dialogues when Shylock is talking about that particular part, Hath not a Jew eyes, senses, dimensions? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? That part is my absolute favorite part in the entire thing. And watching Al Pacino using his entire face, using his entire goddamn body to act that out, man, you need to see it. You need to see it. Because you get justification right then and there that Shylock was right in the novel. He was completely right. Okay. And that brings me to the second Shakespeare adaptation, which is a Japanese adaptation of Macbeth called Throne of Blood. It's by Akira Kurosawa. I cannot say anything about Akira Kurosawa apart from just one thing. Go watch it. It's available in the Criterion collection. It's been remastered. I've seen it thrice, and every time I was mesmerized. Go watch it. I am not in a position to criticize one of the master filmmakers in this world. I'm not going to say anything about it. Just watch Throne of Blood. Beautiful adaptation of Macbeth. While you're at it, another good adaptation of Macbeth in Hollywood is the Macbeth adaptation starring Michael Fassbender as Macbeth and Marion Cotillard as Lady Macbeth. That's also really good. So moving on, I am yammering on for a while. This is turning into a long video, but do bear with me. This next book is really important. It's the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and I picked this book up. It's sort of a novelization of the screenplay. It's by Peter David. I think he wrote the screenplay. I'm just displaying the entire book here. So I picked this up for the sticker still there. I picked this up for 180 rupees at a Scholastic book fair when I was a child studying in class 5. Fifth grade for those of us listening in from other countries. So this movie, right? This movie and this book was what opened a door for me. After watching the trilogy, or rather after watching the first movie with Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, I actually got interested and started digging up about the comics. Obviously, I had read Asterix, obviously, I had read Tintin, but my comic book exposure was limited to just Asterix and Tintin before I came across this movie, this book, and that opened the door. I started digging up about Spider-Man. From there, I went to Batman. From Batman, I came back to this Indian character called Chacha Chaudhary. From there, I went on to explore graphic novels. So, like, this is when it all began. This is where the seeds sowed. So, this book will always be special to me because it opened the door. Without this book, I wouldn't have known of the existence of V for Vendetta. I wouldn't have known of the existence of Watchmen. I wouldn't have known of the existence of Guy Delisle, and I wouldn't have devoured them. I wouldn't have even known about Persepolis. Persepolis would have made this list, but unfortunately, I have not seen the movie yet. Maybe in a future video, I will be talking about Persepolis. For those of you that don't know, Persepolis is an absolutely brilliant novel which looks at issues in Iran. It's written by Marhan Setapi. I will talk about her later. I am coming to the end of the list. I'm going to wrap up with an Agatha Christie and a movie adaptation of a book by Robert Harris. The entire trilogy that he wrote has been adapted. It's the movie is called The Silence of the Lambs. It's the Hannibal Lecter movie. I watched the movie first. It's got Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, and I was scared shitless by his performance. Sir Anthony Hopkins is a legend. The world will miss him when he goes. But he will leave behind such a legacy, such a brilliant legacy. In fact, if I were to talk about Sir Anthony Hopkins, I would need to make a totally separate video. Just know this much. Anthony Hopkins at the height of his powers is what this movie is about. You really need to watch it. I read the book later. Because I had watched the movie first, I was sort of corrupted. I preferred the movie to the book only because Anthony Hopkins is in it. Had it been somebody else, maybe I would have preferred the book. The entire trilogy that he wrote, Red Dragon, which I read in a hospital, Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal, all three of them have been adapted. And man, oh man, I cannot picture anybody else as Hannibal Lecter but Anthony Hopkins. Go see it. You won't regret it. And to wrap up, a really special authoress, the Queen of Crime. But I'm not going to talk about her adaptations of novels. I'm going to talk about her play, Witness for the Prosecution. I read it, then I watched the movie. In my opinion, they're both on par. Damn good adaptation. I do want to say that the BBC has adapted the Miss Marple range of mysteries starring Joan Hickson and Miss Marple, and they're pretty good. Very true to the content. Very good watch. I keep coming back to them when I want to feel a little nostalgia. And Poirot's been adopted as well. And oh my god, David Suchet as Poirot. He is the Poirot for me. He will be the ultimate Poirot. Although Peter Ustinov has been Poirot, and I believe Kenneth Branagh is the new Poirot right now. I think Death on the Nile came out recently. I think he's in Murder on the Orient Express's reboot as well. I have not seen those movies. I will make it a point to see those movies. But David Suchet as Poirot, hands down the best Poirot I've ever seen. But it's not the BBC that took care of it. The network taking care of Agatha Christie's Poirot is Granada. If you can get a hold of them, watch them. They're feature length. Each one of them is a movie. And they're all brilliant. I have been talking for 34 minutes. I'm pretty sure you guys got a little exasperated. But to those of you that stuck around this long, a big thank you. A big thank you. This video was not easy to make. This video was a little difficult for me because what to take and what to remove, what to take and what to remove. Seeing as you know about the size of my library, I will be doing another video like this sometime in the future, which will be having more books. But yeah, I really need to stop now. So this is the Binge Master signing off. If you enjoyed this video, give me some recognition and let's meet again on social media. All the relevant links will be posted along with this video on Scrollstack. Links to find me on social media will also be posted. I will see you soon. I will see you real soon with a new video. Until then, Take care of yourself. Take care.